Hi people, it's Archivist here and welcome to the bot massacre of 2019. So after a fairly exhausting week, occasionally trying to get into some online lobbies for Modern Warfare, I have found myself genuinely fatigued playing this game, right? I don't think I have ever loved and simultaneously hated a game so much as Modern Warfare. It's crazy, and that's a really common sentiment I'm finding, where no one thinks that this game is complete rubbish, no one thinks that, but a lot of people feel as if it has a few issues online. And what I found was the more I played it, the more people were sort of adhering to, shall we call, the cheesier strategies which make those issues more apparent. Which is why coming home after work today, I couldn't really be asked to go online. I really can't be bothered with that kind of intense gameplay. So instead, I'm going to make use of the old feature where I can just play against bots in a multiplayer-esque setting, which has been in the games, I think, since Black Ops 1, though do correct me if I'm wrong on that. So it's quite an interesting way of experiencing the maps in a slightly calmer fashion, so you have more time to look at where the vulnerability points are, where you can go, where you can't go. It's not as good for stress testing them, like where do people tend to hide, but you just get more time to actually move around the maps. But in doing this, I found that you could go onto the 2v2 maps, so maps that are usually reserved for gunfights, and you can play 6v6 or even free-for-all 12-player matches on these. And this really illuminated something about this game to me. A big issue people have talked about is the slower pace of the game, right? And slower pace isn't an inherently bad thing. There are plenty of FPS titles that make that work, but I think especially on the 10v10 maps, the pace is cripplingly slow. Like, it's not actually fun to play, where in order to be successful on a 10v10 map, you have to check your corners and move around methodically, but because the map is so big, it just takes forever to actually engage someone. And if I was to give you my greatest criticism of those maps, it's the time to engagement that bothers me. How long does it take me to die, respawn, and then get back to the fight? And in a 10v10, that time is utterly absurd in my opinion, and it makes each death more frustrating because you know it's setting you back further. However, in this extreme example where I'm playing against bots on a very small map and there are 12 of us, it's the complete opposite. Yes, I'm dying a lot. I mean, I'm dying more frequently here than I'm probably going to die in most multiplayer games, but there is a key and critical difference to observe, and that is how fast I get back to the fight. I die, I skip the kill cam because I know how I died, and then I get straight back to shooting more bots. Now, I am not saying that this is what the game should become, because this is quite a specialist approach. This is sort of like the shipment approach, where just for this particular map, let's go insane, guys. Let's just constantly shoot, die. And it showed me that the mechanics of the game actually lend themselves very, very well to fast-paced play, where you can kill people very quickly. Snapping to targets is very easy to do, it's very quick. And also just the general aiming in this game I found to be extremely easy. Usually I don't tend to touch the sensitivity of my aiming because I'm just not that great of an aimer, but here they've made it so strong on the aim assist side, I could do it quite easily. So in terms of how this game is built, it lends itself incredibly well to fast and frenetic gameplay. The issue is that the maps themselves seem to be going against it. So in a 2v2 setting, it's actually quite crazy and quite fun. But in 6v6, it gets a little bit too slow, where the maps are too big and too labyrinthine for you to have those frequent engagements. But then it's when you get to the 10v10 that it becomes truly oppressive, quite frankly. If you die in a 10v10, you know that it's going to take you some time before you get back to the fight, unless you're in a situation where the enemy has spawn trapped you, and that's just frustrating in its own right. Which is why, really, the point I'm making in this video, this point I wanted to make by showing you how fun this game can be, is that for me, of all the issues people have raised, because I appreciate there are a smorgasbord of problems with this game, and it's hard to say where they should truly start, but honestly, for me, as someone who just wants to have fun, wants to enjoy this game, someone who is, I'll say, semi-casual. I'm not going to call myself a bad player, but I don't take myself too seriously. But what I like is frequency of engagement. And that's, honestly, that's one of the reasons I don't care for conquest too much in Battlefield games, because I feel that the frequency of engagement is quite slow in that. If I'm playing Battlefield, I tend to play Breakthrough or Rush in order to have those frequent engagements. But in this game, some of the 10v10 maps and to some extent 6v6, the frequency of engagement, particularly with the campy nature that a lot of people are playing now, is just too low. Frequency of engagement needs to go up. I think at its core, that is what I am finding frustrating about this game. There are lots of little things I can say, oh, I'd like the old mini-map, by the way, which is rumoured to come back. Oh, I could say I don't like the skill-based matchmaking. But honestly, guys, I think it might be the frequency of engagement being so low that just bores me with this game. And that is why I wanted to show this particularly extreme example here, where I am funneling everyone together in this small little arena, and it's crazy, it's out of control, it's wacky, it's not remotely realistic, but you know what, guys, you know what? It's fun. And ultimately, when I'm playing a game, that is the most important thing of all. It's got to be fun. And unfortunately, I can't just resort to playing against bots for the rest of the time in this game, because I think a lot of people can attest to the fact that it's the progression online and that dynamic difficulty that makes us want to go and play against other players as opposed to just bots. But if they can bring some semblance of this gameplay into the multiplayer arena, then I will start to enjoy this game a lot more. Again, it doesn't matter if I'm dying constantly. As long as I can get back into the fight and start having fun again quickly, I'm going to be enjoying myself. And that is currently what I think the game is lacking. So, as always, people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.